everybody, welcome back to Behind the Joystick. I'm your host today, Cordy Yikes, and I have with me Adrienne. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. For people who don't know what you do in the space, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, currently I'm the director of esports at Midland University in Fremont, Nebraska. I
Nice.
just entered my second year here and it's been awesome, but I've been coaching specifically Overwatch since 2016.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I guess we'll start with 2016 would be probably the beginning of your esports journey.
Yeah, I was a console player, like just kind of played super casually with like three friends.
Mhm.
And then I found this game called War Thunder. It's like a free like dog fighting like military aircraft thing, and like military history was my thing. So that got me my first PC. And then all of my War Thunder friends were like, hey, you should try this game called Overwatch. And then I never got off. But yeah, I was really into like strategy and um like the coordination behind Overwatch, and that
Mhm.
really tied into like my interest of like the military history stuff, which is why I stayed on the game. But that's kind
That's
of
awesome.
how I got interested in coaching, and I joined as like a player advocate at Kent State as a volunteer because one of my friends was on the team, and they had a player that he was having trouble like finding his place in the
Yeah.
team, and that kind of started my coaching career.
That's awesome. So, would you say that that was interest in your spark for the competitive gaming world?
Definitely. Like I hadn't really even considered like gaming or esports or anything like that as a career even then. I was like, ah, this is like a cool thing to do in my free time while I work my real job, you know?
Right.
Um, but I have a lot of like, illnesses, like a lot of disabilities, which makes it hard to have like a traditional job. So the more I worked with this and the more schools started adding programs, the more I realized that like this could be a career path for me. Which of course made my mom upset because she's like, all you do is game, like you're wasting your
Right.
life. What are you gonna do? And I was like, Mom, stop it. Like this is gonna be a career. I'm working on it. And
Right.
she did not believe it up until the day I moved out of the house for my first like full time coaching position. So
That's awesome. So what led to being like the esports director?
I worked at my first like full time position was at a very small women's college in Missouri. And I want to say that's probably one of the hardest places to start, in my
For
opinion,
sure.
because even though there's a lot of like female gamers, to find female gamers college aged wanting to move to Missouri to play Overwatch is like a very very niche pool. But I was there for about 3 years, and when Midland was hiring, I was just like, might as well just apply and see. And like I just really fell in love with like the vision of the school, so that's kind of how I came to be here.
That's awesome. What are like the I guess the challenges from like coaching to assistant directing? Like how was that shift for you in at least in year one?
It's really hard. So I mean, this school is still a small school, but it is much larger than my previous place. And I took over a program that was really kind of in limbo. There hadn't been recruits coming in. We didn't have any completed rosters. Like our equipment was like 6 or 7 years old,
Oh man.
and like it wasn't ideal. So like trying to balance working with players who were playing Valorant at the time. I had never touched Valorant, and trying to like build the trust with the players on a game I've never played, and build the trust of and the credibility of the program itself was really challenging. Um,
Oh, I believe it.
but our athletic, like we're an athletic sport here, which is really nice. So my ads were really supportive of like, this is where I want to go, and like it's going to take a few years, but this is where we're headed. And with that, like it's been crazy. Like we actually are getting brand new computers in next week. We just got
That's awesome.
like the program has never had like consistent jerseys. We got our jerseys in yesterday, which was like a huge deal for my kids. Like we finally have an Overwatch team, which is great.
Right.
And they're doing really well. So like everything is kind of coming together all at once, which is making things much easier because now I can just focus on like the recruiting aspect and working with high schoolers and like establishing my network here because this is the farthest west I've ever been. So
Oh, I believe it. That's awesome. So would you say that this would probably be like a milestone or like an achievement for you that you're most proud of, or what would be your proudest moment so far?
I'm definitely really proud of where I'm at now. Being at a school that is this involved and committed to esports being athletics and like recognizes that even though it's not like soccer or football, like it does take that same level of commitment and just it's awesome. Like I really love it here. I don't plan on leaving. Like I want to stay here. I want to build the program up to like basically be a mirror image of our athletic department. You know, like that's my ultimate goal wherever I end up. I'd
For
like to do that
sure.
here, but that's kind of like my thing. I want to have an esports athletic department where each title has their coach and the kids have equal access to like that same level of coaching from like dedicated staff, and like we have like the broadcast team and everything like that. That's really where I want to go, and I think that we're in a really good position to start building that out now.
That's awesome. What would you say would this be like your 5-year goal, or what would you say would be like the next 5 years?
um
At least in the collegiate space.
Next 5 years, I want a larger arena. Like this is my office right now, but it's also doubling as like our production studio. And that door that Andrew just walked through is the entrance to the arena, and it's a really nice space, but it's not big enough to really grow into. Like we have
Right.
about 11 kids right now. And when all 11 of them are in there, it is full. It's very
I
busy.
believe, especially if they bring their friends.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there have been some days like on match day where some of the other athletes will come up and like wish us good luck, which is really nice. Like sometimes some of the football guys will come up and just like hang around for a minute because we have a football player on our team, um, and it's really awesome. But we don't have the space to kind of accommodate that kind of support. So my
Mhm.
5 year goal is to have a larger space on campus and really build into that.
That's awesome. And then also, so you're a LA Gladiators fan. Is this like a moment for you to like kind of want to stay in the esports space? Was this like your spark also, or?
I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm a Gladiators fan mostly because of their social media. Like they also, of course, had like
Oh,
some
for
of my
sure.
like they had my favorite players. Like Surefour was on there, Dante. Um, but yeah, I went to some pretty low places for the Glads. Like there was like a solid month where I was begging them on Twitter for like a homestand spray. Like I made them Valentines. Like I ended up getting it, which was great.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I definitely am a Glads fan.
I love how their memes on Instagram of like their videos for the Overwatch space. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I just have, I believe, two more questions. If you could choose one character from any game lead to an esports team, who would it be?
Honestly, gonna stick with the Overwatch theme. Like I'd go with Junker Queen.
Oh, for sure.
Like like you'd get it done.
Right. And then what would you tell your younger self before getting into esports? What advice would you give her?
Just don't second guess yourself as much, because there were definitely I went through like several years where I was like, man, I really am just like that kid that's living in my mom's basement. Like what am I going to do with my life? And I really didn't believe that this would turn out the way it did. But now I get to do stuff like this, which I really never imagined that I would be doing. So,
Right. I think it's really awesome too, since you did mention that, you do have like medical conditions or things that you're going through, like in your personal life, and then being able to push and expand to even in the collegiate space. It's nice to know that, people who are having, problems with themselves or just in their surrounding areas, they're able to go off and just kind of push through or grow from it, even in the collegiate space, which is it's awesome to hear from someone who's doing that. And I
yeah.
appreciate you doing everything that you're doing, which is pretty cool. And if viewers wanted to find where you were, what are your socials?
So I am on Discord and Twitter. They are both Alithia. Probably should spell that out. So it's ILITHYIA. Or you can email me at mcintyre@midlandu.edu.
Awesome. And then I'll also put those in the description and the show notes, so you can go off and follow her or reach out to her too, if you have any questions and stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next Friday.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Bye, guys.